Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Friday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Friday, guys. So I want to read this email to you guys really quickly. Hey Kizzy, I'm so excited to email you, and I hope that you do pick my email. I've been listening to you for about 6 months now. I definitely think I'm an empath, but was hoping that you can give me some signs on what it is to be an empath as well as a visionary. I don't think I'm a visionary. I believe I'm more towards the empathic side, and was just hoping for any advice. Thank you. Keep doing what you do. Okay, sis. Hey, thank you for your email. I always tell people, my personal opinion, should always be your revelation, people as confirmation. That's just how I live my life. So ask God to reveal to you if you are an empath, a visionary, and just ask him to show you, how do you navigate that gift. But for myself, let's start with a visionary really quickly. For me, it's like God shows you the future, right? It's like, okay, so how do you hear from God? Like some people hear from God through dreams. That's definitely not me. I'm not the dreamer. Some people hear when they read the word. The word, I don't get revelation. I get confirmation, right? Some people get the audible voice. That maybe happened twice in my life. I get that nudge, that prompting that you can't even describe in words. It's just a feeling. It's just a prompting, and it's so profound. But however you hear from God, he will show you certain things in the future. And these things can be 30 years off, like way in advance. But because you see it, you think it's tomorrow. And I think for me, that's the most frustrating part about being a visionary, because you see it clear as day, but you don't know how. You know he's going to do it. You know he's going to fulfill the promise, but you don't know how and you don't know when. So that middle part is extremely frustrating at times. But you see, he shows you things. And sometimes it's not only for yourself. Like he's shown me things in my life since I've been a little girl. And some of these things have already came, into play. But then there's other things that has not come into play yet. And then every now and then he'll give me, he doesn't show me people's future, right? But he'll give me a word to give to someone. And then that person will in turn take that word, spit out the bones or whatever you call it, and then apply it to their lives accordingly in what God have already shown them in their own personal life, right? So for me, that's what a visionary is. God shows you things and he brings it to pass. Empath. An empath is such a beautiful gift. But my God, is it taxing? It's taxing on your spirit. Signs that you're an empath. I'll start with this. I say this a lot, you're chosen. And again, you can be chosen for different things. You can be chosen as a seer. You can be chosen in different areas of your life, or however God wants to use you for his will. You're just chosen for that direction. Empath. Signs, in my opinion, and you guys feel free to chime in the comment section, because I know I have some empaths here. You always felt different. You never, ever, ever fit in. You can remember back, if you can. I'm that child who can remember back from like things from 4 or 5 years old, right? And I think that's a sign too. That just hit me. I think that's a sign too. You have vivid memories on every. You know how you can meet a person and they're trying to think back on life, and they can't tell you anything about their lives until they maybe were 13 and over or 14 and over. I can tell you things from 3 and 4 and up, right? So I think that's a sign. That just hit me. But you've never fit in. You've never fit in, and that doesn't mean you were rejected from others. Like I said yesterday, you could have very well be the most popular girl in the school, but you just never felt like you fit in. The things that they were doing, you might have just been there. Like, let's just say they were, sitting around the tree gossiping, like maybe some girls do. And you're just there because you're just there. But in your mind, you're not even, you don't even want to be a part of that nonsense, right? So instead of gossiping with them, you're just there. But you're looking at the child in the schoolyard who have on holy shoes. You're looking at the child in the schoolyard who looks like the quote unquote freak, right? The ones that the others will bully, but now you're feeling a pull to that child. You want to make this child your friend because you already know and feel what this child is going through. And no one else in that schoolyard can feel any of that. They can just look at the child. And even if someone is sympathetic to the holes in the shoes, they'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry you got holes in your shoes. That really makes me feel sad. And they may really mean that. But with you, you feel it. You're carrying their loneliness. So now you can spend the rest of your day as a child trying to come up with this scenario in your head on how you're going to befriend this child and how you want to find this child in the hallway just to make them your friend. Okay. So you never fit in. You most likely, not all the time, of course, you're a loner, if you will. It's not to say that you're alone in your life, right? You can have 30 people around you on a daily basis, but you do well more when you're alone, like in your own little solitude of a corner or your man cave or your woman cave, and then you come out and you interact with people, but you get more when you're alone. So you prefer to be alone, but you can do people as well. Rejected. Again, just because you didn't fit in doesn't mean you were rejected. But then some empaths were rejected. And some people call it seers, empaths, get them where you fit in, but you were rejected. No one understood you. No one got you, right? I'm very, very, all caps, very misunderstood. But I've never felt that rejection, like, get away from me, right? Except for, you got your little haters or whatever the case may be, but I've never experienced that. But many times you were rejected. And I now am convinced the reason why is because God allowed that foundation of being rejected or not being able to fit in to be built early on. So when he does send you out for however he wants to use you in the future, if people happen to reject you or reject the word that he's given you to give to them, or even just reject God in general, you can just keep it moving because you've had that rejection foundation built very early on. Now, personally, I haven't experienced that yet, right? But I think we are in the times where God is going to be thrusting us out even more, giving his word and telling people about him. And, if that ever happens, we're going to just have to listen. I did my part. That's all I can do, right? So he's building you. He built that seed of rejection and all that stuff like that early on. Same thing here. You just never fit in. Excuse me. You can be around the crowd, but you just don't fit in. I think I said that earlier. Next, you could be the scapegoat. Listen, you can have 13 siblings, right? You can have 13 siblings. Some people have like those really, really big families. And you're the person who always, like, everybody's against you. Like, and it could be, well, let me rephrase that. It could be one or two people in the household. This can be siblings, aunt, uncles, cousins, those big families, whatever. One or two people in the household can like be against you. And then this person can say something, and then it almost makes everyone cater to the person who is saying things about you, and then everybody just kind of look at you like you're the oddball out. So people don't really have your back a lot. So you feel lonely a lot. So it's just like, can somebody please like see me over here? I'm the one who's being ganged up on, but you rather take the side of the person because the other person is more sensitive or the other person is more what about me? So many times you're the person in the family that people just don't get you. They don't even know how to cater to you properly because you're so different. And then in turn, you end up feeling very alone. Some people reject it. But again, this is all a part of God strategically shaping and molding you, because most of the world won't even get you. So it had to happen early on. Um, God gives you a lot of revelation, a lot, right? I mean, people are connected to God. You get revelation, things like that. But it's almost like God lives in your head all day, all day. Either it's like you're giving, words to people, or He's giving words to you, and it's just you're always spiritually connected. Always. It's really like no off button. You have this urge, and it almost feels like a sense of urgency at times to help others. Like you want to help everyone, and you have to be careful and have to be very discerning that you have to be sure that you're helping the people who God wants you to help. I had to learn that. I really had to learn that, right? Because remember, as an empath, many times you were rejected, you were abandoned, you were the bully, you were the person that everyone picked on and no one took your side. So you can develop the people pleasing seed. So now you have to be careful that you're not helping people from a people pleasing seed versus the people that God is requiring you to help. But you want to help people. And remember now, that started early on, because remember, you saw the child in the schoolyard with the hole in their shoes. So you felt this stuff early on, but then it intensifies. Okay, so you want to help people, and most people don't even get you. They're just like, I mean, that's a grown man over here. That's a grown woman over here, and which is true. But then there's times where God will truly use you, and many people won't even get it or understand. They'll think you're insane, but your obedience has to be to God. Next, you have like healing powers, right? Now I know some people have like the gift of healing. So, but there's certain whatever your gifts are, they're amplified. They're amplified, right? So if you have healing powers, you heal. Like you really, really heal, right? I've been told with me, I know in all humbleness, I finally accepted it. I have a presence that makes people feel safe. I've heard that a lot. And I kind of would just like, I mean, I guess everybody make people feel safe. And then I learned that it's not true. Everybody doesn't make everybody feel safe. So I hear all the time that it's a presence. And then when I think back on it, I'm like, this is why people can't leave me alone, right? Like even if let's just say you're in a disagreement with someone, and then they can call you out on all your stuff, because we all have our stuff, right? They can call you out on all your stuff. And then you're just looking like, I mean, if it's that bad, just leave. I really want you to leave, but you won't even leave. Or if you leave, you keep coming back. What do you want? And it's because that presence of safeness, that presence of just presence overpowers any other flaws. So whatever your powers are, it's amplified. Since you asked for some examples, I'll use Mr. Steve in that case. If you remember on the documentary, if you saw it, sis, Mr. Steve said something when he was crying, and I think he said he had other people over the years who had came behind that store where he was sleeping behind, and they would give him money or try to put him in a hotel, but he just was fine behind that hotel. I'm sorry, behind the store he was sleeping behind. And then he said, but when I met you, it was something. And I know, because I've heard people say, well, Kizzy, he only did that because you're beautiful and you're such and such. Well, even if it was, I don't think so. I think it was more about just that feeling, right? But let's just say that it was. Let's just say that it was. If that's what God has to do, let God do what he do. That's why I always tell people, I thank God every day that I was never the person. He never made me the person to care about physical, right? Even in dating wise, like I'm not the person, you gotta look like this. I'm just not that person. I don't see myself the way others see me, which I think is a blessing because it keeps us humble. So my point is, if God has to be strategic, and if somebody think they can shoot their shot, come shoot your shot, baby. Come shoot your shot, right? So God is strategic. So if they want to come one way, I got a word for you. Tap in. So sometimes, yes, without denial. Sometimes it starts off that way. That may be the intro. But listen, once we get up in that meat, you will be, you won't even see me in the physical like that no more, right? So I believe Mr. Steve was only able to stay sober for those 3 months, which he said he'd never been sober more than one day before those 3 months, because the more and more he would feel my presence when I would touch him, when I would pray for him, and I would feel his spirit. I will feel him shaking. I will feel demons leaving his body. He couldn't stay sober for 3 months because of my flesh. Addiction is real. He stayed sober for 3 months because that spirit was already up on him. I laid those hands up on him. Period. I play no games. I'll give you another quick sign. I actually have to go. I'll give you another quick sign for empaths. Okay, so I went to this event. This was right before the pandemic. I went to this event. It was this very high profile, lots of public figures, lots of celebrities there. Okay, so the person who they were honoring at the event was obviously there. Mind you, again, an empath, you feel, regardless of what's going on around you. 95% of the people are just in their own world doing their own thing. They're just having a great time. But if you or other empaths are there, you will have a good time, of course. You will have a good time, but then you will start getting a pull or a nudge towards something else that's more spiritual, right? There's been many times I went places and think I could just go have a good time all night and I'm not going to get a pull at all. And boy, was I wrong. But as I was looking around, and I was having a good time too, right? So everybody's popping champagne, all, live band, absolutely amazing. But then I got a nudge in the spirit to look a certain direction. And when I look, here's the person who's quote unquote being quote unquote honored, standing in the corner by themselves. But then I look around, and then everybody else is just on 10 and, drinking and partying and having a great time and laughing and just, but my spirit kept going back to this person. And I'm just like, okay, God, I already see where I think you're pulling me, but can we wait for an hour? Because I just want to get some more, bruschettas. And as I'm trying to eat my bruschettas and have me a glass of champagne, yes, champagne, church, holy folks. Yes, I can't even drink my champagne. I can't even take a bite of this bruschetta because my spirit is now feeling sad. All right, God. So make a long story short, this individual who's a public figure and should be celebrated, right? And even though you have people saying, yes, we celebrate you, we honor you, the person's presence, the person's spirit, just by looking at, because an empath, you can just look and you feel, boom, you feel it. Their presence was lonely. Their presence was sad. How do you feel lonely and you got probably 100 people in a room who's celebrating you? Because the people are really celebrating the celebrity, right? The people really aren't celebrating the man, the person. So again, this goes back to a recording I made quite some time ago about, are celebrities really happy? Yes, some are, but most of them just really, really want you to love them, for the man, not for what they do. Do you see how that disconnect can be very profound? So now you got all these people celebrating you and you're in the corner lonely and spirit just, and then when someone walks over, then yeah, thank you. And you light up because they're there. But the minute they walk off, you're in a corner by yourself, and I feel your spirit. You're lonely. You're sad. That's also a feeling of rejection, because do you really want me, or do you want the celebrity? So that's a perfect example of an empath. Again, you can be around 1,000 people, but you will feel the one person in the room. You will feel the 2 or 3 person in the room who's really, really going through something, regardless of the smiles, regardless of no one ever telling you anything in the physical or in the flesh. You know, you don't know all the details and the ins and out, but you know they're struggling. You know they're lonely. You know they're abandoned. You know they're hurt. You know they're longing. They're longing for someone to love them, not their money, not their celebrity. Perfect example of being an empath. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.